I'm Joseph Thompson, Bumpside Treasures in Challis, Idaho. I want to introduce you to Bluebird, our 67 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive that we converted. Give you a little history on the truck. It was sold by Bison Motors, Great Falls, Montana in May of 1967. The truck was actually assembled in Kansas City in March of 1967, and it remained in Great Falls for the majority of its life. It was owned by a ranching family that had a ranch outside of town, and they used it for occasional camping trips, fishing trips to the lakes. It had a nice old bell camper on it for the majority of its life. I followed some great leads and acquired the truck out of Montana in 2020. The truck had 21,700 miles on it at that time, so we brought it here to Idaho, drove it up and down the road a little bit, stuck it away in storage. Now, right in that time frame, we had a customer contact us who was really looking for a Harbor Blue 67. He was in luck. Our vision on his build was to convert the truck into four-wheel drive, which sounds terrible to do, but being such a low-mileage survivor truck, we decided we could move forward with that vision, given that we could actually preserve the drivetrain of the truck intact and maintain the truck's original frame, VIN number, running gear. So we worked forward on a plan and a vision to build the truck into something even more special. We completely tore the truck apart, every nut and bolt, inspected everything, verified the authenticity of the mileage. There was only a few original items that were missing on the truck when we got it, namely we were able to find and document chalk marks, assembly line marks, date codes, super neat details here and there throughout the teardown process. We immediately started on cutting up the frame to transfer four-wheel drive specific cross members. We bought a donor truck that was a Highboy, and we robbed all of the four-wheel drive specific components from that truck, including the engine stands, cab mount brackets, cross members for the transfer case. We acquired a Dana 24 transfer case, intermediate drive line, front Dana 44 HD axle, all of the specifics that we needed to build into a four-wheel drive truck. When we tore down the engine, we found virtually every date code on the engine to correspond with the Marty report, which was wonderful. We had January and February date codes throughout on the engine block castings, head castings, timing cover, bearings for the main bearings, rod bearings, etc. Really exciting. With the 352 checking out so perfect inside, we elected just to give it a fresh hone and new rings. We put it back together with all of its original components, including the virgin crankshaft, connecting rods, and pistons. We sourced a new old stock 352 specific harmonic balancer for it. We had to replace one exhaust manifold to get the date codes correct on the exhaust, and then routed that 2 1/4 duals with Borla excess mufflers. For the cylinder heads, we had them freshened up with new valves, hardened exhaust valve seats. So on the body underneath, we didn't find any cancer. Tons of factory red oxide paint still showing underneath, but we elected with our customer to strip some of that down, re-epoxy, and then respray with PPG matched single stage red oxide to give it a factory fresh appearance underneath, but also further preserve the body. The exterior of the body was fantastic. Took some cleaning, buffing, a lot of detail work, but the original Harbor Blue came back really shiny, really pretty, and all the external paint on the body we left original. For the rear suspension, we left the original 67 Camper Special springs in place, but we separated them out, cleaned them up, identified what we needed to keep, got rid of some overloads, painted them in a 2-part component catalyzed flat black, and reassembled with factory Highboy 4-inch blocks. For the front springs, we wanted something specific to this truck. It's a lighter duty four-wheel drive, being that it's a converted frame. It doesn't weigh as much as a stock Highboy, so we had custom springs made to spec. They added a 2-inch lift that's a soft ride lift, but also built specific left and right to offset We added to the engine a Holley Sniper 2300 2-injector unit. Customers' requests on this build were to build something that would be daily driver friendly and reliable. We felt like the Holley 2-barrel was a good addition for that. All the other drivetrain components were thoroughly inspected or rebuilt. For the transfer case, we rebuilt and serviced a Dana 24, painted it to look OEM, and on the transmission, with it being the original low mileage transmission, we just had it thoroughly went through and then added a 4-wheel drive specific tail shaft to that. We custom designed and fabricated a fuel cell to work as an auxiliary fuel tank for the truck. It's 15 gallons. It was fabbed up by our friends at Soulless Innovations. It was designed specifically for this build so that we could use the factory filler neck and the bed, but still maintain the visuals of that, but have a working brand new baffled fuel injection friendly auxiliary. We sourced Dakota Digital gauges for this truck, and they worked with us well to provide that. We have electronic steering provided by Dusty at Steerman Cycle. Any kind of minor upgrades we could make for the truck to be driver friendly and reliable, while yet preserving as much stock aesthetic as possible. It's a tough balance, but we were able to pull it off with Bluebird. We sourced some vintage worn locking hubs and polished up the aluminum dials, and wanted it to match the aesthetic of the rest of the truck. For the vintage curb appeal, just preservation is what the mindset on this build. So we added the Douglas beam headlight kit for the headlights, for LED, added flashers and taillights, backup lights, and then for the interior, we used as much of the original upholstery as we could, but had the seat stripped down to bare metal, painted, built back up with new burlap and new foam, thickened it so it's much more comfortable, and then reapplied new vinyl with the OEM vinyl back on top of that to give it a original appearance, but it's much more comfortable and refreshed. This truck turned out fantastic. We love driving it. It's got 22,500 miles on it now, and we've shipped it to the customer.